It's just about.
Oh, yeah. I'm like,
Not
so I like park on, then I'm like honking that truck horn, I'm like.
This is here to the other one.
Let's see, I've had 5 surgeries done. They said the next one should go. So I'm trying to avoid that. I want to go try that here.
It is now 6 p.m. on Thursday, the 28th of May. And I'd like to call this meeting of Rome City Council to order. We have a quorum of council members, so if you'll please rise for the invocation of the allegiance to the flag. Father, thank you for this day and for this chance to govern ourselves. We ask you to lead, guide, direct us in our conduct of our business for our town. Please help us to do what's right. Father, we ask this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. Pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Gentlemen, all right.
Yeah. Good to see you.
Okay. All right, let's move forward to announcements. We have announcements that the city office will be closed on June 19th, the Juneteenth holiday. And the fire department's annual splash day and America's 250 celebration, that's been moved to the 27th of June in the family park. Did I get that one out over Rome Connect?
Yes, sir. If I could chime in, we're going to have a lot of things that we're going to pair with the splash days that the chief has worked with staff on to have patriotic type celebrations. We want to have a flag decoration contest. We're going to have some balloons there. Free items for folks to come into and be a part of. So we hope that everyone will come and will be a part of it. We've not expanded it to this degree before, but it sounds like a lot of fun, especially as we get closer to July 4th. So it's the weekend right before. And we hope that everybody enjoys it. Maybe we can continue this each year. So we'll see how that goes.
All right, is there any announcements from council? Good, okay. I just wanted to give an update. Went by the other day and I'm still noticing that they began work on the light in front of Biowell at that intersection. But it was supposed to have been done late March, early April. So not sure what the status is, but I've asked staff to send another note out to all of our elected officials and our contact at TxDOT to find out what's going on with that. So just want those people to know that it hasn't fell off our radar, and yes, we're still trying to track it and get that thing put in. So I noticed they've done some preliminary work. Not sure what the status is, but we are still checking on it. So. All right, there's no other announcements. Moving to the consent agenda, we will address items A and B at this time. We will address item C at the end of the meeting. Do I have a motion to accept the consent agenda?
I move to accept the consent agenda.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. All right, do we have, at this moment, we don't have any citizen presentations, did we?
No, sir, we did not have citizens presentation, but we do have staff reports.
Yes, okay. All right, moving to that. Staff reports, go ahead.
So you will find in your packet that most of your departments have their customary printed monthly report in there for you to review. But we do have an update from the police department. So if Chief Falkenseller will take the mic, we'll pull up the presentation and he can give you some of the highlights of the great things they've been working on.
Brought my purse. It doesn't quite match my outfit, but it's as close as I could get on short notice. Council Mayor, thank you for the presentation. Been a good, I'm not even gonna say it's been a good year. It's been a good since January at the police department. We've made a lot of progress and this month has been pretty beneficial for us as far as grants. I'm going to cover some of that, some of our progress towards the accreditation, which I'm sure you guys are heard plenty of. So this year, or this month, we submitted an application for a couple of different grants. Three of those grants came from the Texas Police Chief Association. We were notified earlier this month that we got all three of them. One of those grants is for $1,000 and it goes towards education for one of their programs called the VCOP, which is Law Enforcement Command Officers. Can't remember what these stands for, I apologize. It's all about command and leadership. So we got $1,000 to pay for the training towards that. It's kind of one of the more prestigious things out there. They make a big deal, post it all over their page. It's a nice award. It's a nice honor to have bestowed upon you. And then we also got another $1,000 grant that went towards buying first aid and medical equipment. And we were fortunate enough to take that, and we were able to buy first aid and IFAC kits for not only for every officer, but also for their patrol cars. And each one of these comes with hemostatic gauze, has the tourniquets in it, compression bandages. It's got everything you need to have in your car available and on the officer's person. So they pretty much have everything they need in here to address any kind of traumatic injuries or big bleed injuries out there in the field. And as you might remember from earlier in the year, Officer Austin was able to help a little boy who crashed into a mailbox. So this stuff is put to good use. And it's nice to have, and it offsets an expensive cost for the city. The last grant that we got was a grant for they're gonna cover the first year's expenses for our accreditation. And that's $600, and that's TML awards that through TPCA to cover our first year's expenses. So that's a nice little bonus to have with us as well. Right now, we're in the middle of overhauling our policy manual, which I'm sure you guys are well aware of. A lot of our policies are outdated, they're out of scope. Some of them were single paragraph policies that were really not even policies per se. So we've consolidated into a more comprehensive and modern policy to kind of coincide with TPCA standards. We've also been formally submitted our grant, and we're on our actual 2-year time clock now to get the accreditation done. We've been assigned a liaison from another agency who helps us through the process, will help with the mock inspections. We're also blessed that we have Chief Campbell and Chief Stanford in Decatur and Bridgeport, who are both on the board that can help us with the process as well. If we can bring up the PowerPoint, there we go. The next slide. So this is the one I'm particularly proud of. When I first started here, one of the priorities that I had was getting our property room in order. This is what it looked like when I took over. And to be honest with you, this is about half the property room. We couldn't get far enough back because of all the stuff that was stacked up in the doorway to take a complete picture of the entire property room. So as you can imagine, that's kind of a mess and definitely a liability for the police department. We found our inventory was inaccurate. We had items in there that were more than a decade old that should have been destroyed. Mice and rats had chewed through a lot of the box and packaging and helped themselves with some of the drugs that were inside some of the packages. So it was definitely a mouse party going on in there. We move to the next slide. This is what our property room looks like now.
Yeah.
So we were very fortunate to have been given the money to buy a Connex unit or a shipping container. And with the help of Public Works, they did a lot of work. They were able to turn it into this. We put spray foam in it. It's got an air conditioning heating unit to keep it climate controlled for all the evidence, lighting, power, outlets. All of our evidence is organized and categorized now. We know where everything's at. We have what we're supposed to have in there. We've accounted for all the items. You'll notice in the very back where the cage is at, we met the accreditation compliance for segregating drugs, money, and guns away from all the rest of the evidence. We currently have an alarm system on it. It's monitored, it's secured, and we have controlled access to who's allowed to, who can knows the codes to get in there. This is one of the biggest hurdles when you're trying to get your accreditation done, is getting the property room in order, followed right behind by policies, which we're currently working on. So this was a 7-month endeavor, not just by myself, but by every officer in the department. We're pretty proud of our accomplishment and the way we're going right now. I talked about the grants earlier. The slide kind of just covers them. Supports the Law Enforcement Command Officer Program, 15 courses that someone attends. At the end of them, it's all leadership style portions that are awarded the LECOP certificate, the IFACs, which I've demonstrated. I'd be happy to show you if you want to see them in person. And then the accreditation grant, the additional $600 to cover the cost of everything. Our plan to move forward is we're currently on our 2-year time clock, so to get that accomplished and we can be accredited. My goal personally is to beat Boyd to do it because we're competing with them. So our property room is fully transformed. We have contracted next month to have an outside professional agency come out and do a professional review of our property room to make sure we're in full compliance. And so far this year, we've got $2,600 in grants, and I'm hoping to have more for you next month.
Awesome.
Thank you very much. Any questions?
That looked great.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Sure, thank you. Moving on, to our public hearing portion. First item is item A, proposed final plat by the city of Rome, Texas of lot 19 and 20, block 4, original town Rome. It is now 6:10. I'd like to open the public hearing. Nothing heard. We'll close the hearing at 16. Item B is a proposed preliminary plat by the city of Rome, Texas for lots A 743 Smith, CSL 29.52 acres. I'll open this meeting now at 6:11. Nothing heard. We will go ahead and close the public hearing on that. We will move on now to our, we're gonna have to table item C until our next meeting on June the 11th at 6 p.m. And as far as item D is considering a request for a change in zoning of legal description being acres 817 J.C. Tatum, 10 acres, and is located at 771 Hickory Street, Rome, Texas. I would like to open that hearing now, 6:11 p.m. But we will table this meeting until our next meeting on June the 11th. All right.
Actually, we're gonna call it recess.
We will recess that meeting, excuse me, recess. it. Correct. Moving on to the regular agenda. Item A is the selection of the mayor pro tem for the coming year.
Thank you, Mayor. This is one of the items that's part of our annual business that we conduct each year after the elections are completed. The council is required to select one of their members to be the mayor pro tem. In the absence of the mayor, they step in and assist with signing documents or attend events or other things in that particular role. For the time that I have been at Rome, Mrs. Michelle Ty has been the mayor pro tem. I have spoken with her. Although she couldn't be at the meeting this evening, she is she's happy to serve in that role for another year, and she also understands that council wants someone else to take a step in that particular direction. So I'm opening it up to the 3 council members that are here for a nomination and motion so that we can fill that position and continue our business.
Someone like to make a nomination and a motion?
I nominate Michelle Ty, move that we appoint her as mayor pro tem for the upcoming year.
Second.
Well, that is that we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, motion carries. Thank you. All right, moving on to item B, presentation and discussion of Prairie Point development.
Thank you, Mayor. We do have some folks here from Prairie Point that are going to, if you'll come to the lectern like you did for P and Z, we'll get your presentation up.
That's right.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. We appreciate your time tonight. My name is Jody Boyd with Ridge Rock Developments. This is my partner, Troy Lewis.
Jody, is your mic on, sir? Put your hold if you see the red light.
Got a green light.
Perfect. That's great. Thank you.
Jody Boyd, 180 State Street, Southlake, Texas. Ridge Rock Developments, my partner, Troy Lewis, is going to hand out a printout of our presentation tonight. We appreciate your time. We know it's a voluntary position, so I'll try to be brief as possible. Throughout this presentation, if you have questions, please feel free to interrupt me. We want to make this a discourse. I think we had a really good conversation with P and Z when we presented this same packet. There's some P and Z folks here as well, I believe. So we are here introducing special districts for the Prairie Point development. Next slide, please. Currently, the Prairie Point is an approved zoning of about 275 or so acres of single family with open space and amenities, and 85 acres plus or minus of mixed use commercial. Currently approved is approximately 1,086 single family detached residential lots. We have a breakdown of those lots on the front page. I'm sorry, I don't have that memorized and I can't read it. It's too small, but essentially they're 40, 50 and 60 foot product. The bulk of those being 50-foot lots. We estimate there's anywhere from 60 to 80 million of approved reimbursement estimate for PID eligible reimbursements. We're asking for a PID TERS on this project. Incentive package is a crucial part of this subdivision. This deal really doesn't pencil without an incentive package. So that's part of the reason why we're here asking for y'all's consideration on that. There is commercial multifamily on this. So we're asking for some tax rebates and 380 on that as well. Just a quick overview, and if you know, please stop me, but essentially a public improvement district or a PID. Next slide, please. Essentially what it is we obligate ourselves and to pay back the bonds, and we go sell bonds in the bond market. So for lack of a better term, it's a municipal bond that we'd be selling. However, I want to be clear, that this bond, the sales of these bonds does not impact the city's credit rating, the city's bonding capacity, and no citizen outside of this district will pay back these bonds. So we're obligating ourselves and our future residents within Prairie Point to pay back these bonds. This is a great incentive and financing mechanism for developers. You know, originally, I'd say 30 or 40 years ago, PIDs have been on the books of the state for a long time. They got a bad, everybody got a bad taste in their mouth in the beginning, 30 or 40 years ago, because of disclosure. So a landowner buys a house, they go to their house, they get their tax bill at the end of the year, and it shows an assessment at the bottom of their tax bill. And they're like, well, what the heck is this? You know, why are we paying this fee? The state has stepped in. There are disclosures throughout the process. There's a PID disclosure on all the TRIP contracts when you contract for the home. So when you contract, there's PID disclosure. There's PID disclosure at title when you're closing. Much like an HOA has to be disclosed that you're going to have to pay HOA fees, and there will be an HOA here as well. The PID fees and assessments are disclosed throughout the contract and purchase process. Again, I want to say there's no cost or financial risk to the city. None of the residents that are here tonight are going to have to pay a cent towards this PID or otherwise, whatever the incentives end up being. We're only obligating ourselves. The district part of the public improvement district is the project itself. So it's the land, and that's defined by legal description through the disclosure documents and otherwise. This is a collaboration, a partnership with the developer and the city. We have to build this to city standards. We'll have to go through the city review process for construction plans and otherwise. You know, we're not asking for any variances to city standards. If something comes up in the future that requires a variance for construction purposes, we'd have to come back to you and get that approved. So this in no way gives us carte blanche on any kind of getting out of anything, I guess the best way to say that. We still have to step to the line on city ordinance, city standards, and city construction. Okay, next page, please. So benefits of a PID to the city. City council governs the approval process for the PIDs. Development pays for itself. It does accelerate the timing of the subdivision because of the additional financing mechanism that this involves. Again, you know, I'm gonna say this a dozen times. Y'all probably get sick of me saying it. PID debt is non-recourse to the city. City didn't have to pay the PID assessments, and they never will have to pay the PID assessments. One good thing, and we mentioned this at P&Z, you know, we learned this a lot in COVID. When someone in their house orders an Amazon package and that Amazon package comes to their house, Amazon pays sales tax to the city based on where that house is located. So we essentially have 1,000 little package stores that are going to be ordering stuff, toilet paper or whatever else it might be that gets delivered to that home. That results in a sales tax to the city. So it helps the city in the fact that you have more houses, that sales tax grows sequentially. There will be city staff involved in this, city council, the attorney, there'll be bond counsel, there'll be a third-party PID assessor for the city. All of those things, all of those costs get paid by the PID. So even in the formation and the administration of the PID, That's not a cost to the city. That is covered by the PID itself. So, it's cost-free to the city in that the PID pays for that stuff. So the attorney spends time on the PID documents and otherwise, the PID pays for that. You hire third-party appraiser that you hire for that, the bond counsel you hire for that, the PID pays for that. So, last point there, no impact on bond rating or bonding capacity for the city otherwise. And I warned you I was gonna say that, Rich. PID benefits to the property owner. PIDs, because it's a financing mechanism, helps us amenitize the subdivision. So we'll have open space, we'll have amenity centers, we'll have parks, pools, dog parks, pickleball courts. Because the financing helps us with the subdivision, that allows us to give a higher level of amenities to the subdivision and therefore to the city. And all those things would be open to the city as well. So no impact on the property by the actions of others. So again, citizens that are here, no one's going to ask you, or your tax bill is not going to go up as a result of what we're asking for tonight. All right, next slide. Proper disclosures ensure success. You know, to sum up this page, disclosure, 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 disclosure at every point, from when we sell it to the builder, from the builder sells it to the home buyer, from when that home buyer eventually resells that house, that gets disclosed then as well. So the disclosure part of that really has mitigated the heartburn that people had about PIDs in the beginning of that 30 or 40 years ago. And it's an ongoing disclosure process for the PID and the PID administrator. Our partnership has done multiple PIDs. We've got multiple indicator. We're doing the Vista Park project, their indicator behind Walmart. That's a PID on that property. We have a quarterly report that we have to fill out. How many lots have sold, where are the assessments, how many homeowners have moved in, where are we at in the project? So there's ongoing disclosure for that throughout the process life cycle. Okay, moving on. Any questions? I know I'm going pretty fast here, but I was gonna. Okay, tax incremental reinvestment zone. So essentially what this is we would be asking the city to reinvest a portion of the ad valorem taxes that this project generates. We're currently asking for a 50% tax TERS investment from the city. You know, that doesn't come out of current ad valorem taxes for the city. It would only come from the ad valorem taxes for the homes built in this property. So there'd be a rebate to that. That helps incentivize us, offset some of the costs to the future landowners that are in that. Now there is with PIDs and the TERS, there is a sunset. So it's not, doesn't go on a perpetuity. Typically that's a 25 or 30-year sunset. For the PID bonds, that's almost exclusively 30 years. But there is a negotiation on the TERS side of it. Right. Okay, the TERS also can increase our bonding capacity because you can use the TERS to pay down some of the assessments for those lots. So essentially the landowners ad valorem taxes, a portion that can go back to pay back the TERS assessment and lessen the low tax burden to the citizens, the future citizens there. So PIDs and TERS, just basically five main areas that are eligible. Because it's public improvement district, those items that are eligible: roads, water, sewer, storm drain, and landscaping. So those five areas are the only things we can spend PID dollars and TERS dollars on. That's the only things that are eligible for there. So, you know, if we had something private for some reason that we wanted to do, we couldn't use PID or TERS dollars for that. Like if we do an amenity center, well, that's got to be open to the public because it's a public improvement. If we use TERS and PID dollars for that, it's got to be available to all the citizens. So there's not going to be a on any of the things we're doing here for other citizens that are already here in Rome. That'll be open to everybody. All right. Part of that too, acquisition of right of way. So if there was some offsite stuff we had to go get and pay somebody to put a water line in or otherwise, or a sewer line extension, those sorts of things, PID dollars can be used for that as well. And the concept of that there is the public improvement for the benefit of the district. So they're eligible for that as well. Okay, typical PERS incentive, PID PERS incentive team, city staff, city attorney, engineers, PID consultants, you know, there'll be administrators, external consultants for the city. Obviously, we have to get mayor and council approval for these incentive packages. So you guys have your thumb on what those approvals will be. So we have to toe the line. And much like a zoning, the zoning's done on this already, but, if we represent something in the public, sector for this, then we have to step to the line with that. We can't just come back and be like, oh, we're gonna do it a different way. No, just like a zoning would be, you do this for the property, not the people. So, this thing will be consistent throughout. Bond counsel, I mentioned them otherwise, or earlier, city financial advisor, underwriter. And all of those get paid for by the PID, right? We're not gonna ask the city to write a check for any of that stuff. The PID pays for all of these things. Excuse me. Okay, MMD, Municipal Management District. This is slightly different than a PID. A PID gets paid for by an assessment on the lots, and it has a sunset. And that assessment is set. So once we have the assessment set, that stays in perpetuity throughout the 30-year process. Now, that's the one main difference between that and a municipal management district is that municipal management districts are special purpose. It is a political subdivision. There's a board of directors that the folks in that area, that district vote for. It's a tax rate, not an assessment. So a technical difference from that. Effectively for the landowner, it's the same thing. However, MMDs do go on forever. So much like a MUD, it's almost like a hybrid for a MUD within a city is what an MMD is. There'd be a tax rate set. That tax rate goes to sell municipal bonds once it's built, reimburses us for money out of pocket for the public infrastructure. Then once you put a cap on it. You can't get more than what you spend, right? That's just how it works. Once you get to that point with an MMD, the tax rate then goes down to a maintenance operation tax rate. One of the main benefits from an MMD that is different than a PID. When we do a PID, it's public infrastructure. When we build it and finish it, we give it to the city. And it's the cities that then maintain and operate going forward. So maintenance of the streets, bless you. Maintenance of the streets and the water pipe and the sewer and the storm drain, all of those typical city functions in a PID would be the responsibility of the city to pay for, obviously because you get to tax it forever. So that's part of the deal. Now, the difference is on an MMD, the MMD pays for that infrastructure, pays for that maintenance. So it alleviates some of the cost to the city for long-term maintenance on the project because there's a tax rate set in that is applied to the maintenance and operation of the MMD. So that's basically the main difference between an MMD. It is a political subdivision. There is a board. Now we still have to go through the same approval processes and the same ordinance and building standards that the city has in place and all of that. It's just that it's a tax. It doesn't go away. So, it does go down, but it doesn't go away. So just want to be clear about what that does.
Just to be clear, that tax that we're talking about is only on the development, not the whole city.
No, yes,
I
sir.
don't want nobody to misunderstand.
No, I appreciate that. Yeah, no, 100%. Just like the PID, it's only this district. So it's only this project. So no one's taxes are going up. We're not gonna charge anybody else any money other than the folks that choose to be in the subdivision and thereby say, yes, we're willing to pay that. Okay. Added amenities and otherwise. One of the things that's really nice, from our perspective is when you sell the bonds, the bond proceeds, whether it's an MMD tax assessment or it's an assessment to the lots for the PID, is collected by the tax assessor. So the city's not gonna have to collect the tax from the homeowners. We as developers don't go collect that tax. And frankly, that's what makes it more of a municipal bond is because the tax assessor is collecting those assessments and then they distribute that to the people who bought the bonds to fund it in the first place. Right. Went over a little bit of the benefits from an MMD to the city and the developer governance. We still have to get city council to sign off on that. We're not trying to shirk any responsibility from a standard of construction or otherwise. It does allow, the board does set that tax rate. Now in Wise County, there's a maximum tax rate for MMDs or MUDs at 1%. We don't have that, what that ultimate tax rate is going to be right now. Part of that is in concert with what the costs are. But the board, the MMD board would be the one who sets that rate. And that's what's the political subdivision side of that. So just want to be clear about that. All right. Benefits to the city and the developer. I kind of got ahead of myself on that. Maintenance is the main part of that. Kind of takes off the the burden from the city staff and otherwise to maintain the infrastructure within that, within the Prairie Point subdivision. Separate issuer. Now, one of the things here, in a PID, the city actually issues those bonds, those PID bonds, and the assessments go to the lots that's within that PID. Now, an MMD is different in that the MMD issues the bonds. So a little bit different there about how the function works. It takes some of the load off the city from a PID to an MMD because the MMD is the one issuing those bonds, but the result is the same. It's an assessment on those houses, whether it's a tax rate or an assessment. I know words matter, but effectively at the end of the day, it's the same thing, an assessment or a tax in those houses to pay back the bonds. Okay. MMD benefits to the developer and the city continued. We can't just go out there with an MMD, and I think this is one of the questions they asked at P and Z. You can't just say, hey, we're going to build a tea garden. It's going to cost $10 million and we will tax everybody within the district to do that. Because you have an elected board on an MMD, those homeowners are motivated to keep their taxes low. So they're not going to be splurging on things that are not necessary. Now, we will do amenities and amenitize it, parks and trails and all of that good stuff. But it is self-governed. That's the political subdivision side of it. Now, typically in a MUD or an MMD, there'll be a city staff on the board or a city council member will be a part of that board. So they'll still have an active role within that MMD governance to make sure those things are all copacetic and above board. So, okay, last slide. Okay, so just to kind of go down here, I mentioned the difference. The PID is city council approved and city council has the final say on that. And MMD, once the city says yes to an MMD, that goes through the TCEQ and the Texas legislature to get approved. So the state approves that creation. The creation timing on that, the PID is a little quicker in that it's just city council with public notices of, a couple weeks of notice. I believe it's just one meeting at city council. Depending if y'all are different, some cities are two meetings. The timing with TCEQ is a little longer, 120 to 180 days, because the state, we know how the state works, a little slower. Governance is again, board of directors for an MMD and city council on the PID. From a technical standpoint, the MMD is taxes and the PID is assessments. Again, that's basically the same bottom line to the new homeowners in there, whether it's a tax or an assessment, but those two things are different. And MMD has no eminent domain authority. So we did an MMD on this, and that ultimately gets approved. We can't go to our neighbor and say, hey, you need to give us 20 acres because we're putting a sewer line through there. We don't have that authority. The PID, the city has eminent domain authority, so they could do that. I will say, my partner will accuse me of this too. I talk out of both sides of my mouth sometimes. I am a huge private property rights guy. If someone were going to come try eminent domain my property, I'd be real sour about it. So we try to not do that at all possible. In fact, we've done about 40 or so subdivisions in our career, and we've never once done an eminent domain. We believe in private property rights, and you ought to be able to do with your property what you want within reason, right? If it doesn't pick your pocket or break your leg, then we're good with that. But those are two differences. The city could go do that, and eminent domain easements for sewer, water, and MMD cannot do that. Improvements are the same that I mentioned before. Those 5 basic deals: water, roads, water, sewer, storm drain, open space amenities. So both of those things, they're qualified for that. This is actually the last slide. On a PID, that's typically not a competitive bid. That is recommended because of the political subdivision nature of an MMD. It's recommended to have multiple bids. We typically, just for our partners and otherwise, get at least 2 or 3 bids for every scope of work. We're pretty transparent about that, even with our subcontractors. Verification of costs. We have a PID administrator on PIDs that say, hey, this is how much it should cost. Your proposals from your subcontractors are in line with the marketplace. A PID assessor does that. On an MMD, that's an administrator or a third-party audit, which equals engineer. You get a big engineer firm, the city's engineering firm or otherwise. There are engineering firms in the state that specialize in that stuff, just to make sure costs are what they should be and keep everybody on the above board on that. So, and Issuer of the bonds, again, that's another major difference. MMD issues the bonds on MMD, and the city issues the bonds on PID. But again, only the people within that district pay those things back. And then again, notice to purchasers, disclosure, disclosure, disclosure. As long as people know what they're signing up for, they can't have heartburn for it on the back end of that. We understand that. We're doing that in our Vista Park project and other PIDs we have in the area. You know, as long as people know what they're getting, they're okay with it. It's that bait switch in the beginning that really kind of rubbed everybody the wrong way. So, you know, we're excited about this project. Troy and I first got this under contract in 2021, 22, worked on it, spent a bunch of money on it. As everyone's aware, there was a big water problem, no availability of water. We understand that part of the solution for this, as well as on our site, as well as offsite. And the PID and MMD can pay for offsite wells. So the city has property that we could go drill a well on, that we capture some of that water. We can do that, and we full well intend to do that. We have room for 3 or 4 well locations on our property. And we want to be part of the water solution for this subdivision. Water is really the high hurdle here. We understand that. The West Fork Special District. Yes, we're well aware of that. You know, we're doing other developments within Wise County that we understand water is the issue. So we're very well versed on the water situation and how we can be a solution to that as well. So I'll let my partner add in.
Just wanted to add a couple of things. Jody covered everything really well. Just wanted to make sure there's some clarity on a couple of things. Number one, we have other projects in the area, other city councils we work with, other city staff. So we encourage you to reach out to those cities and inquire about us. We try to be men of our word and do what we can to see things through appropriately. In regards to the incentive programs that Jody's talking about, these aren't profit programs. These are incentive programs. So we can only receive benefit. We can only incentivize our costs. So for example, if there's $1 million in roadway cost, we can't go above that and say, oh, we're going to charge the bond $1.5 million. That's not how it works. So we're limited to costs, and it's generally not 100% in a lot of situations. And we're also limited by the marketplace. So when it comes to, as Jody talked about, the MMD has maybe a $1 tax rate. The PID TERS, while there's financial calculations based on costs, there's also what the marketplace will absorb. So if the total tax rate, your school district, your city, whatever other tax rates, if that all totals $4, well, that's not marketable because everybody else is used to being around $3, give or take. So just wanted to point that out, that those are just factors that get determined as we go further in the discussions and analysis. And a lot of it is based on an engineering firm coming together with us, putting together an opinion of probable cost. Every detail about the plan of the project gets put on paper. The city knows the cost. We know the cost. It's all, as Jody said, above board, and that's kind of how everything's determined. So just wanted to clarify a couple of those things, but then follow up and kind of wrap up for us. We're here to start the conversation. We hope tonight you guys have some questions. We're happy to end those, but we're looking forward to this being the start of many more conversations about this, so we can get a project that I think everybody's excited about getting across the finish line.
Thank you. We're all very excited about getting this going. I just have a question. I hope I'm not showing my ignorance. Now, I understand about PIDs and TERS. We've been through this before, but is this going to be, you're going to go use the PID and the MMD or one or the other?
No, it's typically one or the other.
Yeah.
So an MMD lets you go either do a PID within it or do the tax rate within it. So the MMD kind of gives you a little bit of flexibility. Now, I will say there's a chance, and this would be a legal question, right? I'm not an attorney. I just play one on TV. That we could do pods on this, right? So we could have a pod of 300 lots that it makes sense to do a PID on. And then as the project grows, if we did an MMD, we could say, okay, well, on this one, we're going to do more of the mud MMD on the next 500 lots or phase of the subdivision. So the MMD really gives us flexibility. And that's part of the reason why we wanted to bring that up and present that. But that'll all be predetermined. You know, we can't just go say, oh, we're going to do a PID here, and then we make our own decision. We'd have to come back to council and get that signed off.
All right. I just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah, you bet. Now, one thing I do want to add, and I'm glad Troy brought this up because I forgot to mention it. You know, our estimate here, these are going to be pretty nice homes. We're targeting that $450,000 to $550,000 homes. I mean, this project, just the single family side of this project represents about $500 million of ad valorem tax dollars in the city of Rome. So this is a substantial project. It'll bring substantial tax dollars to the city, and that's not even contemplating the commercial aspect of this. There's about 85 acres of commercial multifamily. So we really think this can be a bellwether for the city of Rome, or the town of Rome. Sorry if it's town of Rome, I apologize. But, we're excited about this project. We've been working it for a good while now. We've got a good relationship with the owner, and we're anxious to get this thing across the finish line. So we appreciate y'all's time today.
Yeah, the one thing I noticed a lot of people are concerned with is not just the housing, it's the infrastructure to support it and roads. Traffic is a nightmare. I hope that you're working with TxDOT on 114 and these where they have, because this is a nightmare out here.
Yes, sir. We've met with TxDOT 4 times now already on this
We
project.
gotta support the traffic the increased traffic that this will bring in. That we had looked at developing this once before several years ago. And that was a concern a lot of people had, so.
Yeah,
No,
you bet. And
that's water.
our main entrance is gonna come off of 114. We've been working with Kimley Horn and TxDOT in conjunction with both those to solidify that. We want our front door to go out into 114, so the traffic that's going back into town just goes off on 114 and doesn't impact the transition from 287 and otherwise. There's a little loop road there that our main entrance would kind of reroute traffic that way. We understand traffic is a concern. It's a concern with frankly, every subdivision, but this is a particular concern with the scope and the size of this one. And we're working in concert with TxDOT on that. Yeah, also, one other thing I do want to say is we're going to phase this. So I want to be clear, we're not dumping 1,000 lots on the market all at one time. We'll probably end up with, 5 to 8 phases, depending on market absorption on that. So, there's going to be some growth pains. I mean, there's going to be some growth pains that, to be frank about that. Any new subdivision brings some headaches with it as well. We're well versed at those things. We've been doing this a long time. I anticipate our first phase or so will be in that 150 to 200 lot range, with some heavy infrastructure on that first phase to route the traffic to 114 and otherwise.
First of all, I want to thank you for considering our city for this growth. My question is, once you guys drill your well, does the city take possession of that over a certain period of time, or is that going to be private? You're throwing words around like mud, and I know we serve that area, but I just wanted some clarification on record. Do 2 year or whatever city takes over the infrastructure of your pit, will the city take over the well as well?
Yes, sir, absolutely. So that the well and the infrastructure, if there's a water treatment aspect of that well, will all be turned over to the city for maintenance in that pit. Now, if it were the MMD scenario, that would be different because it'd be the MMD with a tax rate doing the management and operation of that well. Otherwise, but from a pit standpoint, yes, we'd be given to the city once it's drilled, completed, and accepted by the city, much like the city accepts a street or water or sewer infrastructure. The water wells will be the same.
Thank you for clarification.
Yes, sir. My pleasure.
I just hope that the groundwater supply can support all this, because there's a lot of straw stuck in the aquifer. That's why we formed the PUA.
Which is one of the conversations that we've had with both of these gentlemen, and we will continue to have. We've also discussed the idea of using some xeriscaping in the yard so that we're not, to Jody's point, we're not creating English tea gardens everywhere we go. We don't have the water for that. Is not sustainable, even if the PUA is able to make an agreement with Eagle Mountain. Like we've got to get away from this. Every yard needs to look lush and green in August. We're not in that type of climate. So we've talked about some of those things. We've talked about the possibility of some land swap to expand our park system. So there's a lot of conversation that still has to come as it relates to the particulars and all of the details. And as they were saying, the engineering opinion and probable cost is one of the linchpins of this entire project. So we would need to get started on that. But both gentlemen wanted to come forward and talk to P&Z and talk to council to revive the concept, because as some of you know, Mayor, I think you were on the council when this came forward the last time. This is a project that has been approached. It's a beautiful piece of property. It's right in a great location. And if we can get it kicked off, then it could be of great benefit to the city and to those who want to live there.
Yeah, no, I will say this, so, as we've had this under control for a couple of times now, we're getting a lot of lookers. We've got a lot of builders that are interested in this, that first time move up market, that 450, that is in everybody's wheelhouse. We've got a lot of folks, from your regional builders to national builders interested in our product, interested in this subdivision specifically. So I don't, anticipate, you kind of wait till see what the market does, but I don't anticipate any issue with selling these lots to builders. And, we've talked a little bit, I see someone here from Northwest ISD, we're also would be, consider putting an elementary school or otherwise here in this project with 1,000 single-family homes. I think that'd be wholly appropriate to add some school facilities there as well. We have not talked to the ISD, just full transparency, but that's on our list of outreach. And we think it can be a part of the solution here for the ISD. Yes, ma'am.
Are we also speaking with the city's engineer?
Oh, yes, ma'am. Yes, yeah. I think they are using Kimley Horn. We've had some calls with them, but our engineer will be in contact. I've also had a meeting with our PID administrator and we've discussed some of the particulars of the project. So there's several more steps involved in this entire thing. This is just kind of the first foray into the conversation.
Okay, I just specifically like them to be involved with the tech side aspect.
You bet. Yeah, we've used Kimley Horn as our engineer on this. Westwood, I believe, is the city's engineer. We have 4 or 5 projects that we use Westwood on and other municipalities. So we have a very good relationship with both Kimley Horn and Westwood. So they'll be an integral part of this. Yes, ma'am. You bet.
Awesome. Any more questions from council? Yes, Mr. Council.
Yeah, you mentioned the mud. So if you do a mud on it, that kind of hurts the city, doesn't it?
Well, it wouldn't be a mud. Yeah, we can't do a mud, because it's not a
But
mud.
he mentioned it.
Yeah,
He mentioned it
So
was
I'm
similar
for
to.
clarification, is what I was getting at.
Yeah,
This
you bet.
project is in the city limits, so that does change the configuration of things that are available to them. We have talked with both these gentlemen about the PID-TERS combination. And as we get further into the details and the financials and see how it papers out, then we will have a better recommendation for council to consider.
Okay, like I said, I was looking for clarification on my part of it.
Well, I'm gonna speak sometimes, so let's be clear about it. We can't do a mud, and we're not proposing to do a mud here. I guess what my point was is that an MMD is similar to a mud in that it's a tax rate, not an assessment. So that's the difference, and that's why I mentioned a mud. But no, we can't do a mud within the city, and that's not our desire.
Okay.
All right, any further questions? All right, well, thank you, sir. Appreciate you guys coming.
Thank
Look
you
forward to
very
working with you.
Yes, sir. Thank you. We very much appreciate your time, and we look forward to further conversations. Thank you.
Thank you all.
All right, moving on. Item number C on the regular agenda, Emergency Services District Proposal for Southern Wise County. I believe, you, Chief Estes.
Thank you, Mayor. While Chief Estes is making his way to the microphone, you may have seen on social media, you may have had some posts that you've reviewed about the creation of another ESD within Wise County to provide emergency services and fire protection for the southern portion of our area, which includes Rome and New Fairview and Aurora and a bunch of other Newark and a bunch of other areas in and around us. Chief Estes and I had an opportunity to sit down with the fire chief of the Newark Volunteer Department that is the one I understand is spearheading this project and is working together signature, which he assured us that he has more than he needs to push this to a vote in November. So I imagine people will see it on the ballot. What we'd like to do tonight is take some time to educate council on the scope of this project and also potential implications for our community, as well as those who live in the unincorporated areas in and around our city. This would have lasting effects for Rome on what we're currently doing today and then into the future. There's also been, excuse me, a considerable amount of talk recently in the Wise County Messenger about the funding mechanisms of ESD number 1, which you see on the map is just to the left of what we show here for ESD number 5. And it has implications on collections as the cities, both New Fairview, Aurora, Rome, and Newark, any of those continue to grow on what that means for water and who's paying for what, as well as the actual ad valorem tax rate that would be overlaid, as well as any sales tax collection. So I'm gonna turn it over to Chief, and we have a couple of maps we can show you. I also did some research on some of the challenges with ESDs and the things that we need to be mindful of, much like what both of the gentlemen just presented as far as an NNB is concerned. An ESD is a political subdivision, just like you are. It has the ability to tax, and it has the ability to collect sales tax, and it has the ability to govern that particular region as it relates to fire and emergency services, but their members are generally appointed by the county commissioners. They're not elected as you all are per your city. So there's some concerns on my part. I expressed them with Mr. Taylor when he was here and spoke with Chief Estes and I, as far as transparency and governance and accountability just to the general residents. And I'm happy to answer any of those questions, but Chief, I'm going to turn it over to you for this.
I'd like to thank everybody for giving me the opportunity to speak on this tonight. ESDs it's a different word, to deal with around here. And, this is on the emergency District 5, or you'll hear it called ESD 5. And it's a proposal. It's not a ESD yet. So they have to go to vote in November is when the vote would be on this. After he collects all the signatures, which I'm sure he has, because it's a very large area that they're trying to take over. And first, I want to make something very clear. It's from the beginning that it's not whether emergency services that are important, because they are. It's important to everybody. Emergency services for police, fire, public works. Police, fire, public works, all of it's important to us. It's important to the county. It's important to the citizens. And I keep saying citizens, it's not going to affect Rome itself unless the council wants to vote to join the ESD, which I highly recommend not to. But I think Aurora is probably gonna, I think they've already kind of verbally said that they would join as a city. Newark, I would assume, is going to join as a city, and that's gonna put a burden on them whenever they get businesses move in, because the ESD can come take, usually it's 2 cents, but in Wise County, they have that half-cent that the county collects, so it's only up to 1.5%. That's what city administrators talked about before. They went for it last election and they got it. Now they get 1.5% of the sales tax. So if they build a tractor supply, they build a grocery store, whatever they get, the ESD, that 1.5% goes to ESD, not to the city. So it's ESD's money. So it doesn't go towards the infrastructure of any city. It goes towards their infrastructure as a emergency service. Currently at Rome, we're already providing a service that, throughout our city. It's our #1 priority. And then we also cover 54 square miles total out in the county. Our ETJ is a little different than the city's ETJ because, we do get paid by the county. It's usually $65,000 a year. And then after that, we can apply for extra and we might get another $10,000 to $12,000. So around $80,000 total is what we get for running county calls. And most of our county calls is about 60% of what we run. We run about 40% in the city, about 60% outside. So we actually lose money going out making calls in the county, for our personnel, for our fuel, for our oil, for wear and tear and everything. So, we do it because we serve the public. And it doesn't matter whether they're city or county. We can't just sit here and watch something burn or watch somebody have a heart attack. We have to go. I mean, that's just what we do for a living. All our firefighters are certified, including, we have EMRs, EMTs, paramedics. They started investing in this years ago before I ever got here. And it's coming up on my 3.5 years of being here as a chief. They started back in 2017, getting everybody certified to this point that we are today, where we have a combination paid department. So, if nobody knows, we have 2 full-time every shift, 48.96. We have 2 administrators now. Daniel, assistant chief back there, took Michelle's place. She decided to retire from that position. So we have 8 full-time personnel. We have about 10 volunteers. All our volunteers have been through our fire academy. They've all been trained. They've all been certified through Texas Commission on Fire Protection. We did this through grants, through the Forestry Service. Any department can do this. They don't have to wait till the time up to do it. So they started back in 2017, getting everybody certified. When I got here 3.5 years ago, we started our own academy. So every volunteer we have are certified. They can go to work for anybody in the state of Texas as a certified firefighter, not just as a volunteer. And volunteers have different levels. If you're not firefighter 1 or 2, you cannot make an interior attack. You have to stay outside. So there's no going in, been in or search, isolate, and trying to get somebody out. You have to stay outside by the law. Doesn't mean they have to, but by law, they have to stay outside. The department that's wanting to take this large area that you see on the map, they have around 40 to 50 volunteers, and there's not very many certified. They're not 24/7. Don't know when they're going to be. I'm kind of getting off my thing. We're talking off the cuff, but one of the biggest concerns about the ESD is duplication of services. So during their transition time, if this passes in November, they don't get a red cent until January of 2028, not 27, but 2028, because they went for the November election. So they'll have about 14 months of taxes once they get there. Some ESDs, when they form, they want to hurry up and get stuff. So what they do is they take out loans. It's a loan that ESDs can take out before they get any tax dollars. So in my mind, you're starting behind the curve already. You're already owing something that you don't even have the money for yet. It's like going out and buying a house and you know you don't have the money to pay for it. It just doesn't seem right in my mind. But it is legal and they can do that. And maybe that's what they're going to do. I don't know, because they don't have enough certified people to fill these positions that they want. In our conversation with Chief Taylor, he said they want 4 stations. The first one's going to be in Newark on 3433, I think close to where the Dollar General or Dollar Store somewhere down there. They're building the city hall and the fire station together. That'll be the first one. The second one's going to be up north, because their territory, if you notice, it's going to go all the way to NRS, and then just east of Decatur, it's going to go almost 238, and then down county line, all of New Fairview area, Shell Creek area, 114, all of RVR. That includes the spot that HEB is supposed to go in. So if they go ESD, it's not our county, it's not our city ETJ. It will go over to the ESD and they will collect all the sales taxes off of it. Even though we can throw a rock and hit it, it's going to be theirs. So what I'm trying to say is I'm not against ESDs. I think they're needed in certain areas in the state of Texas. It's needed up in the Panhandle. It's needed out in El Paso area. It's needed in some areas here. It's just the amount of property that they're trying to grab to do this. It doesn't even connect. It doesn't all connect. It just surrounds everybody. It's kind of spotty. I don't understand that thinking, how they're doing that, but that's not me. I mean, I didn't go towards the commission and ask for this. It's going to stunt the growth of Rome because we have possibilities to annex. I know we have a contract with RVR. That's with our attorneys to decide, with their attorneys to decide, because they do have attorneys on, I guess, what do you call it on the
Okay.
Right, he talked about attorneys, their attorneys told me that's that, so.
So the ESD itself has retained its own
Right.
counsel, and that's helping them with the wording, with their mapping, and with their messaging. We did learn that.
So I know they have attorneys, and I'm sure they've already looked at the contracts and they do their attorney thing. I'm not any more part of that on that, but it's going to stunt our growth because we had a agreement, or we could have eventually took in RVR as our city. They could have annexed in, but once an ESD is formed, annexation it's not possible, but it's really hard. It's a hardship to the people that want to annex in because you'll have to pay them back for their services. You have to pay them back for, if they have a building there, you'll have to pay them back for that. You'll have to pay them back for equipment. There's all kinds of things that you have to, loopholes you got to go through to annex once an ESD already has it. Sales tax is another thing. It's, you know, you're not gonna get sales tax off all this stuff that we projected to come in here. And even though it's not affecting the citizens here in Rome, by the tax rate at 10 cents per hundred is what the tax rate will be. And he told us that it will be 10 cents on $100. On every house, every piece of property, every commercial building that's in their district. So if you look down 114 with all the warehouses, I don't know what they cost, but 10 cents on 100, I'm sure those people aren't gonna be happy. And people that lease those buildings aren't gonna be happy because the people that own them are gonna pass the cost through their leasing. You know, it's gonna cost them more money to lease property. It was also asked, or Amanda asked, point blank, why are you doing this? Why are you grabbing this much land? And what he said was, we need the revenue. It wasn't about, we need to provide a better service because we already provide the same service that they're wanting to give. And we do it with professional certified people. We're only one of two people in the county that run ALS fire departments. Decatur just started this January. We've had it for a long time. That's why we got the light back, because we had to have it to continue our service of ALS service. They don't have ALS service. That took years to build, years to do, years to get paramedics. State of Texas right now, it's hard to find firefighters, especially that are paramedics that can run ALS. And as far as I know, they only have one or two paramedics over there at the most in Newark right now. It's not going to be overnight. It takes anywhere from 3 years to up to 10 years more to build stations, to get staffing, to get your SOGs, to be able to form a department, to have your policies. There's not a lot of transparency in an ESD. The board members can be your buddies. There's a few ESDs right now. I won't name who they are because it hasn't really come out, but they hired a lot of their buddies. And now they're getting in trouble. It's causing a stir. And one of the ESDs that got formed recently, after 2 years, then they're appointed to the commissioners. It's not just, hey, I want you, and you going to be good to be on their board. That's how it is right now. And as far as being a fire chief or administrator in ESD, you don't have to hold a fire certification. I've gone through 43 years now, trying to put myself through school and get the certifications to be qualified as a fire chief before I even wanted to become a fire chief. They don't have to in ESD. ESD can say, all I want you to do is go to a conference once a year and you can be an administrator of the ESD, because they're really not called fire chiefs, they're called administrators. And the ESD, the fire chief is. I'm not knocking them. I mean, they've made it for a long time like they are. They've lost a lot of property in Tarrant County because they're no longer going to pay us to respond in Tarrant County. They had about 17 square miles. I know I'm not getting it exactly right, but about approximately 17 square miles is what Newark covered. And they lost approximately 10 square miles whenever the ESD formed over in Tarrant County. So they lost almost $100,000 a year, and they are all volunteer, which I do have sympathy for them, because they are 100% volunteer. They don't have city help. So yes, they do need the money to operate, but they also shrunk down to 7 miles. So you wouldn't need as many people. You wouldn't need as much money to operate in 7 square miles. You would 17 square miles. So
I think the biggest challenge that we're running into is much like what we talked about with the previous gentleman, that when you create another local political subdivision, you have really duplicated your administrative costs, your service delivery costs. We did have, as I said, a meeting with Chief Taylor about a week or so ago with Chief Estes. It was not a pleasant meeting, and it was pretty confrontational. So I was disappointed to have learned about the formation of said district through social media, that no one called the city of Rome and even had the courtesy to say, hey, this is what we're thinking about. To me, that's not good service delivery when you're trying your best to serve the community as a whole. because that's what it's about. It's not about where can you amass enough property, enough income, enough funding to fund all of your operations. It's how are you best serving the community? And when you look at the map, all of the blue sections that are there, I have spoken to New Fairview City Administrator. They've not had any official council action, so I'm going to be very clear on that. But it will be up to each council of these cities to make the determination if they want to go in with the ESD and immediately subject their residents to another 10-cent tax increase per $100 valuation. When you couple that with what we just saw happening in Boyd with ESD number 1, where the district went for an election a few years ago to garner the sales tax in all of the areas that are unincorporated. Now, when the city annexes in any property, if a developer comes to them and says, hey, I want to bring a Kroger, the city doesn't have any negotiating power at that point because the ESD has a lot of negotiating power for that. ESDs are also not required, or they can consider, but I don't know any around here who have yet to give any discounts for 65 or disabled or any of those. So it's the full 10 cents on your tax rate. Now that may not seem like very much money, but when you look at it for a $500,000 house, that can get substantial over the time when you stack that with a PID assessment, a county assessment, et cetera, et cetera. So I would recommend to council that we be cautious on how we proceed with this particular proposal. I would not recommend that the city of Rome join in the ESD's path forward, but that is certainly at your discretion from which to make that decision. I can simply offer you an opinion. I have every confidence in what we are doing here in the city of Rome with the way that our department is being run, with the staffing levels that we have, and with their responses. They are top notch, and I look forward to seeing them continue in that vein and would like to work with all of our surrounding communities as we continue to find these paths forward. But I will say that the ESD itself and the formation of this district number 5, it just wasn't very transparent and there was no collaboration.
Is there an opportunity for us to present our stance on this to the community with,
It's my understanding that Mr. Taylor is very confident that he has the 100 signatures he needs. So it will go to election in November. At that point, the city can come out and say, this is our position and this is what we intend to do if council decides to remain with our department or if they decide to go with the ESD. Does that make sense?
It does. I think I'm asking, is there an opportunity for us to present our stance before that?
Not necessarily
For
to the
some
elected.
type of education. So it kind of makes me think about how during the bond situation, it's an opportunity to educate. So could
That might be a Carvin question as to what the city can put out as far as a fact sheet on that. I would defer to him.
And you can always put out the fact sheets. You just can't spend public dollars advocating for a position in an election.
Not any different than when we had the bonds. We can put out information on social media and on our Rome Connect that say, this is our position. These are the facts if we know them. You make your decision when you go to vote. But if our residents, if our council does not make the choice to join in, if you will, our residents will not be affected. They will not have the 10-cent increase. We will continue to be served by the department that we have now.
so we can opt out.
Yes.
Even if it's
Yes.
created.
Correct. The challenge is going to be is as Chief was saying, the RVR development in and of itself has multiple layers of development agreements with sales tax considerations and ad valorem tax considerations that have already been pre-negotiated. When I asked the gentleman, Chief Taylor, about this, he did not know what those were, and he did not know what would happen. He stated in our meeting that it would be his intention to recommend that if the city annexes in property that the ESD give up the sales tax. I have not found that to be the case. Usually when a taxing entity has that ability to gain revenue, it's hard to get that moved away from them. So anything that you see in the brown on the map anything that's contiguous to us that could eventually be in the city limits, so to speak, we really don't have the ability to offer them services because your city is funded through three major sources of revenue. Your sales tax, your ad valorem property tax, your fines and fees, and your development costs. When you remove one of those and you're now down to two, you've got a very unstable environment from which to operate. For an ESD that is going to largely rely on sales tax for the most part anyway, because you can see we're not very populated in those unincorporated areas. That's a very income elastic stream. It's going to ebb and flow with the economy. So when the economy does good, they're going to have more money. And when it's bad, it's going to lag behind and it's going to do really bad. My concern with some of these entities as they are being proposed without any local representation, local election, therefore subject to open records, public information, the ability to be transparent, have their audits, put their financials out, et cetera, et cetera. These are all the cycles of businesses that cities and counties have been doing for years and have perfected pretty well. ESDs are just getting started in this. And we are seeing in our neighbor right next door with the Void and the challenges that they have had, that ESD number one is proposing, as well as that ESD number one went in at 3-cent tax rate. And most of their voters won't increase it. So I think they may still be at 3 cents. I know they went for 7, but I'm not sure if it went to that.
They're at 3, and over the history of ESDs, I've looked back and looked at it. If you start off at 3, you're gonna remain at 3. Very little people will ever wanna go up on that. So, I will say this, they're doing the right thing because, it really won't be set until they get their board. They can say whatever they wanna say right now. They are gonna go for 10 cents. I mean, there's no doubt about it. And a year later, they're gonna go for the sales tax.
Yeah, he mentioned that in our meeting.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that, but this whole thing, what I want people to know is, and you were talking about it, Christie, about education. They're gonna have to educate themselves. They can't you cannot get educated on Facebook.
That is true.
Cannot. I want people to get off Facebook on the CSD thing. Please, go to the internet, study it, look at it, use AI. AI is a good thing. It's not an evil thing. Go to AI, look at it. It will tell you everything about it. And it will tell you the good, it'll tell you the bad, because there's good and bad about everything and everybody in this world. For us, it's bad. For Rome, it's really bad for our growth and as for our potential here in Rome. You've got one of the smallest fire departments with all volunteer wanting to take over a humongous area. I mean, it's crazy how big an area they want to give. It'll be the rest of Wise County, because there's the ESD 1, Boyd. There's ESD 2, which is out in Boonesville, Valzora, Alpha 920, and they have very little houses out there, hardly anything, a couple of ranches. Then you have ESD 3, which is Paradise, Cottondale, and Salt Creek. You have Outward, Chico, and Crafton. There's ESD 4 that just got formed recently, and then they want to form ESD 5. And I can tell you that, and not a knock on any of the other departments, but ESD 3 and ESD 4 still get second and third tone to calls. In 3 years, we have not missed a call because we don't have enough personnel to run calls. We had missed calls because we were out on calls and local calls and couldn't make calls. That's the only reason we haven't missed a call in 3 years. And ESD 3, Paradise, Cottondale, Salt Creek, they've been together for over 2 years now, and they're still missing calls.
So it's an education piece, as Chief says, and from the standpoint of what you've been seeing on social media or that you will see at the ballot, I know this ESD conversation has come up before and it has been somewhat researched, but I don't think we understand the full impact. One of the things in the conversation that we had with Chief Taylor was, he said, well, our expectation is that if the 10-cent overlay comes in, then the rest of the taxes will go down. There are so many needs in the city of Rome that are being unmet at the moment. Even if the council makes the decision to opt into this ESD, I would never recommend to you to lower the tax rate 10 cents. We're barely keeping the lights on in some instances. So that's just not a feasible financial model for the city. So if we opt in, we're automatically going to raise those taxes 10 cents. And then if the ESD comes in and takes the areas that we could potentially annex in with the sales tax, then we have really limited our ability to provide services for many years to come. And that will be detrimental. I just don't think there's been enough research. There's not enough data out there that tells us how this is going to go, especially for small cities. And given that we're kind of the tip of the spear, as they say, we're the gateway to Wise County, we've got a lot of potential that we need to live up to, that I'd like to maintain for us as long as possible.
It's like,
From the country person's perspective, if they vote this in, you're basically gonna have an unaccountable taxing entity that's going to make Rome where we cannot grow any bigger than we are right now. We'll never get any bigger.
that's the biggest threat.
Because they will take all the tax dollars and the voting citizens are not gonna, you're not gonna have any control of it. They're not accountable. It's just like all the developments out in the county. We have no say over what they're doing.
But yet people think they live here.
And they think they live here, but they don't. So personally, I'm against the ESD. I do not want it. I don't want Rome to do it. We have a first-class fire department and police department. We've been working many years to build. That gives excellent service to the city of Rome. So like I say, it's gonna be an education piece to get people to understand it. And we just wanted to bring this out at this meeting, so maybe we can all pass the word.
Mayor just said it, we have exceptional departments, and I'm proud of each and every one of them. And we get compliments every time we go out on calls. So there's no need to pay for something that you're already getting for free.
So watch your newspapers and let's stay informed, and we'll continue to bring you updates as we receive them. But this is of great concern for us from the standpoint of how we deliver good, excellent quality services to our residents and what we're going to do in the future.
When will this potentially go to a vote?
November of this year. They only needed 100 signatures was what my understanding to get it on the ballot, and they have considerably more than that because they have that entire area from which to obtain signatures. So when we met with Chief Taylor, he said he already had the 100 signatures and he was just getting extra so that people in every district and every area could be given the opportunity to sign the petition.
Quickly, it's Chief Taylor. Where does he go?
He's the Newark Fire Chief for the volunteer department there.
Okay.
All right, thank you very much, Chief. Appreciate the information. It's good stuff. Moving on to, we have item number D. We're gonna like to ask the council to please, let's table this to our next meeting in June the 11th. Item E, annexation services plan for Hickory Meadow.
Thank you, Mayor. This is in tandem with items D and F and G that we are going to table. This is a component part of the development that is going to come in off Hickory that I believe I have a PowerPoint to show you. So we've got a visual. We don't have this one. So 2 years ago, Structure Builder Group brought in a annexation plan for 10 acres off of Hickory that they had been able to obtain and wanted to develop about 50 homes on. Since that time, they've been able to also purchase the 10 acres that is next to the original 10, and they are going to bring those in as well. So the annexation service plan gives us the basis from which to annex in and provide services to that area, and is kind of the first step in this process. The only reason these items are being tabled tonight is we were supposed to have this posted on our website for 10 days prior to consideration. We got it on 9 days before. So we're going to postpone it to the June the 11th meeting to make sure we've met all the requirements that we need to meet. So this is just basically the first step in starting the process to annex in. And if you look behind tab number 7, the fourth flag in behind number 7 is the application for the zoning district change, and the annexation services plan is right behind that. So we have it brought forward. This is no different than the one that we looked at 2 years ago. It provides for the same components. We will continue to negotiate on development agreements, et cetera, that will go through P&Z and will go through council. Planning and zoning did consider this information at their last meeting on Thursday and recommended to council that action be taken to approve said process. So I'm happy to answer any questions, but it's fairly consistent with what we've done.
City Administrator, I was gonna remind you, we can adopt the service plan tonight if
Yes.
you wanted to, but you don't have to.
It's at council's discretion. We can either push it all until the next meeting, or we can do a piece of it now and do the other pieces on the June 11th.
The only order requirement is the service plan has to be adopted before the annexation can occur. So that's the order it has to occur.
So we can accept the motion.
I prefer that we look at it all at the same time.
That's what we'll do then. All right, well then, moving on to, we're gonna table, items F and G as well that are related. Item H, the proposed final plat by the city of Rome, Texas, lots 19 and 20, block 4, regional town Rome.
All right, I've got a slide for you here, so bear with me. See kind of where we're at. Where the star is on your map, and if you look at the next flag in your packet, this is two properties over kind of near where the city park is. It is lot, on CAD, it's 771091, which makes it lot 19 and lot 20. That both of those, when separated, are smaller than our square footage requirements for single family residential in this area, which happens to be 7.2 thousand square feet. So by combining both lot 19 and 20 on the Wise County Appraisal District, that makes it one lot, makes it easier to develop for the person who owns it. So this is just that consideration. This is actually a final plat for said consideration. It also was sent up by P and Z as a recommendation to approve to council.
Just a reminder to council, plat approval is basically ministerial. And you almost have one question, that is to ask staff if the proposal has met the requirements of our ordinance.
Which it has.
If it meets the requirements, you really have no discretion to deny the application.
Well, I will accept the motion to approve the proposed final plat.
I move to approve the proposed final plat by the city of Rome, Texas of lots 19 and 20, block 4, original town road.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you. Okay, moving on to item number I, the proposed preliminary plat by the city of Rome, Texas, lots A-743 Smith, CSL 29.52 acres.
Thank you, Mayor. This, we actually do have some representatives here from the development. If you'd like to come to the microphone, I misidentified them at planning and zoning, so I'm going to make sure I get it correct this evening. If you'd like to give the council an overview of what you're planning, that would be great. And this is the project itself with the star on it. It kind of covers up some of the housing, but I think he can walk us through.
Yes, so we have purchased, the 30 acres that was formerly a horse ranch at the end of Iron Horse Court, and that is City of Rome. We also have the 26 acres on the south end of that is part of the, it was part of the Fort Worth ETJ. I think we've actually opted out of that, but the goal is to develop the north end of this property with some light industrial product, warehouses. The purpose of this initial request is to rezone it because it was originally broken out. There's 2 acres was broken out for a residential component of this agricultural 30 acres or 29 acres. And so what we're asking is to rezone this 2 acres to be agriculture as well. And then we'll eventually come back to you guys with a request to rezone some of it to light industrial, submit the plans, go through the normal process for that. But that's down the road. That's something that's down the road. Today, we're simply asking to rezone that 2 acres that was residential, replat.
For preliminary plat for this, and again, it was also considered by P and Z. If you look in your packets, you can probably see a little bit better this map, Mr. Johnson. It looks like this. It's got a little circle there. Basically, the house was in SFR for taxing purposes, single family residential, the rest was ag. So they're trying to combine it all into one, much like we just did the previous lot.
What was it? Recommendation.
To approve,
Okay.
they sent it to council, yes.
Yep.
And again, as Carvin was saying, this is a preliminary plat, which is ministerial as long as it meets our requirements, and it does.
So if we don't have any questions from council, I'll accept a motion to approve.
I move to approve the proposed preliminary plat by the city of Rome, Texas of lots A 743 Smith CSL 29.52 acres.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you.
Council.
Thank you, council.
Moving, thanks, sir. Item number J, I believe we have a speaker, school resource officer opportunity with Northwest ISD.
Yes, sir. Would you like to join at the microphone, or one of you want to take front and center so we can get some information to council on this proposal?
Good evening, council, mayor. My name is Mike Conklin, Executive Director of Safety Security for Northwest. I've been asked to come be present tonight. If you had any questions for us on the proposed conversations we've had, early conversations, and we've submitted a sample of what one of our contracts or MOUs looks like. So we were just kind of here to see if you guys had any questions or.
You'll recall that we had some preliminary discussions with council before about this concept that they would like us to provide an officer at one of their schools. They pay 70%, is that correct?
That's correct.
And then the city pays 30% of the difference. And in the off time that the officer is not on school duty, they would be available for the city's use. Oh, you want to take the microphone? Or you can just sit in Mr. Loftus' space, sir.
Yeah, I'd like to hear your thoughts.
We're definitely here to let you know that we're absolutely looking forward to a relationship with you guys.
Just sit where Mr. Loftus or Mrs. Ty is. Either one, there's a microphone there for you.
One of my first questions when I first started here is why we don't provide school resource officer services for Northwest ISD for the two schools that are on our campus. The county has done it. I think we're doing the citizens a disservice by not covering it ourselves. I personally support it. I think that it gives us a presence in the schools. It exposes us to more of the community. And on top of that, it gives us an officer for several months out of the year during the summer, during winter break, spring break, that we're only paying 30% of the bill for. I mean, that's the entire salary, benefits package, everything. So I personally think it's a good idea. I think that we should have been doing it all along.
Sounds like a good idea to me too, but that's, we'll make sure you
I
guys.
thought we were at one time.
Well, not since I have been here. We have not provided said service. It's been at the county level, and the county has stepped back from some of those duties at some of the schools.
If I may.
Yes.
I've been with the district now 18 years, and at one point we did have a relationship and we did have an MOU. I think we terminated about 2015 or 16 or so. So we have, Rome has provided SRO services in the past.
Good to know.
Well, I'm with Chief. I thought we did. I mean, I've got a son that goes to the junior high out here. And, with all the turbulence in the world, so to speak. I mean, I for one, and on a personal level, maybe I'm speaking for many parents that everyone else, we need one there.
So the plan,
Yeah,
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
it's okay. I mean, I'm with the Chief.
So the plan would be to have Carvin review the MOU that you provided to us, and then we can get back with you on said costs. And you gave us parameters from what you had done before with the county, and I think we can work out an agreement. It's just making sure the council's had a chance to answer or ask any questions that they had on the process.
So Mike, would you split the coverage between the middle school and the elementary school, kind of the way we?
So that's an operational piece as far as the partnership and obviously Chief's directive of the officer. We do have level 3 armed security guards at both Prairie View and Seven Hills. The idea would be that the officer would then create that relationship with the schools and do, that you could do bike rallies, you can do safety programs, you know, you can bring in the community, the fire department, those type of things to, we would hope in the elementary as well.
But this would be to serve the two schools that are in the city of Rome, Prairie View and Chisholm Trail.
Well, that's correct, yes.
Not seven, we're not talking about Seven Hills, or are we?
Well, the contract is for the middle school. Now, we would hope that through that partnership, that they'd be willing to answer calls or work with Prairie View as well. But their number one duty would be at the middle school. Now, of course, Seven Hills comes in, and that would be a conversation, the chief and the sheriff, and what that looks like as far as calls and who goes first, those type of things. And I would leave that to his professional opinion on what that looks like.
Yeah, I'd like to have some more conversation about that at some point, about what it's looked like. It worked very well in Roanoke for years with them serving a high school and then also multiple elementary schools. I think that was a very good partnership, a very positive experience for students, staff, and community. So
I think that if I can add, I think that we're in a good place right now. Personally, after serving my last year, Richardson as an SRO, I have a little bit of knowledge working on the SRO program. The hiring of Captain Coker, he spent the last few years working for Irving ISD. So we kind of have both, you have unique perspectives. And on top of that, I mean, if you recall over the years, we've been fortunate to upgrade a lot of our equipment. And the purpose behind every one of those was to respond to a school shooting. And what better way to respond to a school shooting than be in the school ready? So.
There's no action.
No other questions.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
Look forward to hear, working with you guys.
Yep, you bet.
thanks for your patience, waiting till the end.
All right, thank you all, at this time. At first section 551.071, consultation with attorney, pending or contemplated litigation, settlement offer, or to seek advice from our attorney, referencing interlocal agreement with the city of New Fairview for police services and interlocal agreement with Northwest ISD for a school resource officer. As well as section 551.087, deliberations regarding economic development negotiations, to discuss, deliberate regarding commercial or financial information the city has received from a business prospect that the city seeks to locate, stay, or expand in or near the city, and with which the city is conducting economic development negotiations concerning an orthopedic doctor's office. It is now 7:31. We will break for executive session.
Carmen, do we need to make reference to the ordinance on the gambling machines that you were going to counsel?
That falls under the.
Advise the council? All right, perfect. Thank you.
Shall we? All right, it's 7:54. We return from executive session. The only thing we have as a result of executive session, I believe, we have, comment as regards to the school resource officer, proposition for Northwest ISD.
Yes, we just like to say that, as a council, we conceptually are in favor of the partnership with Northwest ISD to jointly fund the SRO position. And we look forward to, reviewing the memorandum of understanding.
Thank you. Don't believe we have anything. Do we have any future agenda items, from council?
Yeah, I would like to get on the agenda, maybe talk about some water conservation for this summer. I'd like to talk about it.
Okay. Anything else?
Yeah, we brought the trash up,
We're working on it.
okay,
It's coming to you.
All right, if there's nothing else, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Do we have a second?
You got a second?
All in favor?
Aye.
I'd like to hang around a little longer. No, I.
Thank you very much. Meeting's adjourned.
Just as a